our first speaker is Stephen. He's been a staff engineer at Underwriter's Laboratory for over 27 years. And besides building architectural scale models, Stephen has over 45 years experience building space models. This is a photo of his spare bedroom in his house. It is spectacular. His models are just amazing. You can see that detailed photo on the left there of the rocket that took the astronauts to the moon. That is an amazing scale model. Now, he has also studied and researched Frankfurt Wright and his architecture since the 70s. He served as a docent at Wright's Roby House in Chicago for 15 years, and he's managed to visit over 50 Wright building sites. And I am super jealous. That is a photo of the interior of Unity Temple that Stephen took. So today, Stephen is going to talk about how he took the Unity Temple model and created this amazing display. So Stephen?
Well, thank you, Greg, for the kind introduction. And if we could get started by going to the first slide, which is already there. I received the Unity Temple kit as a Kickstarter contributor, and I was immediately impressed with the quality of the kit. As this was a first generation kit, it came with a display box as part of the model. And the box was meant to protect and showcase the finished model when it's all done. Next slide, please. There was a few things I noted right away about the box. The plain wood interior really didn't match the nature of Unity Temple and its normal setting. Also, the model was allowed to roam freely inside the box when it was moved, and that could potentially damage the model if you ever had to ship it. So the first thing I did was to put a more appropriate background in by getting a captured image of some forest foliage, printed that onto self-adhesive paper, and trimmed it to fit the back and side panels of the box. And it provides a more appropriate setting for the temple. Next slide, please. Then I wanted to help protect the model without trapping it inside the box. So what I added was a couple of strips of gray styrene L channel to both sides of the box so that they just barely touch the top of the model's main platform. This kept the model in place and kept it from wandering around, but you still had a chance to remove it if you ever want to take a look at it. Next slide, please. The opaque box didn't allow much light inside to showcase the model. So I added a homemade light box using a few pieces of sheet plastic, some plastic channels, and 3 strips of warm white LED strips. Those are connected to a 12-volt power supply outside the case. You can see the connector exiting the back there in the picture. This adds kind of an artificial sunlight to the model. Next slide, please. You can see the light box in use. The 3 LED strips and the overall construction are pretty easy to see in this photograph. As Greg said, a bill of materials for the light box is available. Next slide, please. If you can see how much more lifelike once this is all done that this model box now looks. I thought it turned out so well, I built a second copy of the model and sent it to a friend of mine who turned me on to Frank Lloyd Wright as a Christmas gift. And it showed up in his house in Tennessee in perfect condition. So I guess the model trapping system worked out just fine. Next slide, please. I became a real fan of these models, like Greg said, and I recently did the Johnson Wax building as well. I thought it turned out pretty well, but it lacked a certain identity, and I saw how other modelers did it. So I grabbed a copy of the old Johnson Wax logo off the web and printed it onto a decal, which I then put on the model's platform, indicating the building's identity and its location. Last slide, Greg, please. You got to remember that Unity Temple model no longer comes with this wooden display box. It has a clear acrylic display case as an option. Now you can still do the natural background if you wanted to, but with a clear display case, getting natural lighting on the models probably not a problem anymore. That's all I've got. Back to you, Greg.